for that question. And the way we move forward, frankly, stop lying to them. Stop lying to veterans. Veterans have dealt with a generation of lies from successive governments, and I will blame us for that as well, as a Conservative government, Madam Speaker. Stopping the lies, telling them the truth. What we can do, we tell them we can do. What we can't, we tell them why. That's how we deal with veterans in this country. No more no more crap. Thank you.
Statements by members. The honourable member for Fredericton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On a day where all parties rose in the House and denounced the hateful practice of conversion therapy, I rise once again to speak to Clinic 554. There has been a lot of talk about the work of this clinic on ensuring New Brunswickers have access to abortion services. What has flown under the radar is that Clinic 554 is also a centre of excellence for trans healthcare in a province where there is still a lot of stigma. Many of the same people that have been vulnerable to the human rights abuses of conversion therapy have experienced the life-saving compassion and validation that Dr. Edgar, Valerie, and the whole team at Clinic 554 provide. Clinic 554 saves lives. And it is closing because the province will not rescind Regulation 8420 of the New Brunswick Medical Services Act in direct contravention of the Canada Health Act. Nor will it recognize that trans healthcare is a subspecialty in medicine that deserves compensation commensurate with the service. To save this clinic, to protect human rights, and to save lives, we need federal intervention in New Brunswick. Thank you.
The honourable member for St. John Rothsay.
Madam Speaker, yesterday, Clinic 554, the only provider of out-of-hospital abortion care and specialized trans health care services in New Brunswick, was forced to permanently close its doors due to the provincial government's refusal to repeal Regulation 8420. This regulation withholds Medicare coverage from abortions performed in community-based clinics, and it has repeatedly been found by Health Canada to constitute a clear violation of the Canada Health Act. The closure of Clinic 554 as a result of this policy also constitutes a clear and unjustifiable infringement of the charter rights of women and LGBTQ2IA+ people in our province. This is completely unacceptable. The Higgs government must immediately repeal 8420, and our government must continue to take the unprecedented action necessary to protect and promote the right to choose and the rights of LGBTQ2IA+ people in our province. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member for Peace River Westlock.
Mr. Speaker, this government has indicated it wants to take on big tech, and I would urge them to start in Canada's own backyard by requiring platforms to be free from sexual exploitation. Pornhub and its parent company MindGeek, based in Montreal, operate with complete impunity as they profit off sexual exploitation and bring in nearly $500 million annually. For years, videos featuring child abuse, torture, rape, and sex trafficking of women and children have been published and monetized by MindGeek. These videos of sexual exploitation uploaded to MindGeek's platforms can be viewed and uploaded millions of times, in each instance re-victimizing the individual. Many of these videos remain up for months, even years, even after they're brought to life, and this blatant exploitation has led to companies like PayPal ending their relationship with MindGeek. This is an outrage. It is time to end MindGeek's impunity. I'm calling on the government to end the exploitation of women and girls online. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Marc-Aurèle Fortin. Mr. Speaker, on September 18th, I visited a new seniors' home in my riding of Marc-Aurèle Fortin Laval, the Estia residence. With my colleague, the member for Vimy, we visited this new residence, which can now safely welcome seniors. I'm proud to say that our government has been clearly committed to seniors throughout this crisis, and we won't let them down. This determination can also be seen in our new Horizons Seniors Program. This grant program helps to prevent elder abuse and to encourage the inclusion of seniors in our society. Take care of yourselves.
Efkaristo.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Quebec isn't the only one that has dark memories in October. We remember the repression in our streets in the Catalonian government conducted protests, and the Spanish government cruelly repressed them. And in Quebec, we refuse to give up as well. These two nations shouldn't be ashamed of their independence movement. To President Torra, who has been thrown out by Spain, I hope that each of these nations will have the right to self-determination and highlight their own culture in their own language and reflect their own values. Vive Free Catalonia.
Woodbridge.
Mr. Speaker, as we build back better from the pandemic, this government is investing in Canadians, in strengthening our social safety net, and in the critical infrastructure we all depend on. We need to ensure that we have a 21st century labor force to build our infrastructure and create good-paying jobs, like the one set out in my riding of Vaughan Woodbridge by the apprentices training at the facilities of LiUNA 183 and Local 27 of the Carpenters and Allied Workers. Part of the focused COVID-19 response of our local unions was to strengthen safety practices and make sure their members continue to get the job done safely. Mr. Speaker, during his career, my father was a laborer, a carpenter, and a sheet metal worker and roofer. His generation sacrificed so much to help build our great country. Now we must continue to invest in and train the next generation of men and women in the trades that will not only provide good jobs for Canadians, but also build the communities in this country we are all blessed to call home. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Wellington, Halton Hills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Another local newspaper is closing down. For 22 years, the New Tanner served as an important voice for Acton and the surrounding community. Since it was founded by Ted Tyler and Hartley Coles, the New Tanner has been a go-to source for local news, giving local residents a sense of place and community in a globalized world. It's no secret that newspapers have been struggling for some time. Then the pandemic hit. Local sports, after-school activities, Legion events, and other local goings-on all have been canceled, creating an impossible situation for the small newspapers that covered these events. So, last month, the New Tanner decided to close. What was started by Ted Tyler and Hartley Coles so many years ago touched the lives of tens of thousands of local residents over many decades. Thank you to the New Tanner for bringing the community together by telling our local stories over so many years.
The Honourable Member for Vimy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
To mark the 60th anniversary of the independence of the Republic of Cyprus. As this is my first statement as a Member of Parliament since my election, I am honoured to stand in the House to celebrate this important day. Canada and Cyprus have enjoyed a long history of international cooperation. Our countries have maintained strong bilateral relationships through our membership and work in several multilateral organizations, including La Francophonie, the World Trade Organization, UNESCO, and the International Criminal Court. L'un des aspects les plus marquants.
One of the most impressive aspects of is the peacekeeping forces in Cyprus. Since 1974, Canada has played an active role in keeping pace in this country and in providing humanitarian support. At the 60th anniversary of Cyprus's independence, we would like to underscore our common values. Cyprus remains an important international partner for Canada, and we are...
La Petite Nation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Today is National Seniors Day. The interpreter would like to note that there is a sound issue and interpretation cannot be provided at this time.
Our
Our seniors are facing greater social and economic challenges right now. Together, we can and must do more for our seniors, and this is why our government has taken additional measures to help them. We will be increasing OAS for seniors over 75 years of age. We're going to increase the CCP survivor benefit. We're going to take additional measures to help seniors to stay home longer and establish new national standards for long-term care. We will continue to offer help to our seniors in need and to continue to support them during this pandemic. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and happy National Seniors Day.
For Markham, Unionville.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to congratulate all Canadians on Latin American Heritage Month. We appreciate all the contributions of Canadians of Latin American descent who for generations have helped build our community and made them stronger. Despite all the challenges and barriers, you have shown how hard work and determination always prevail. Your communities from coast to coast are essential to building a brighter future. I also want to acknowledge how Latin American community came together during the lockdown to help the most vulnerable. Lastly, I want to pay tribute to the sponsor of the bill in the Senate, our late Conservative Senator Tobias Inverga. Tobias was a vocal advocate for diversity and multiculturalism in Canada who dedicated his life to building bridges between communities. On behalf of our Conservative Party and our leader, I wish everyone celebrating Latin American Heritage Month a joyful celebration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Madawaska-Restigouche. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Throughout this pandemic, I've been so proud of the people in my riding, which is one of the most beautiful in the world, as you can imagine. During the heart of the health crisis last spring, even before the second wave was on us, stakeholders from the entire Madawaska-Restigouche region were in constant communication with our offices, including MLAs, mayors, city councillors, not-for-profits, the business, sports, and cultural communities. They all communicated their support, their suggestions, and their constructive opinions to help our government draw up emergency measures that would respond to what haunted us most in 2020, namely the COVID-19 pandemic and its impacts on our economy. Thank you to all the people of the beautiful and resilient Madawaska region who, in the spirit of cooperation, brought their ideas and helped me to reflect them, and it will help us get through this health crisis. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Honourable Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, tonight Asian communities across Canada will celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival, also known as the Moon Festival. Traditionally celebrated when the moon is roundest and brightest, this holiday is a great opportunity for families to reunite at a festival table and express gratitude to each other. While this year's celebrations will look different because of the ongoing pandemic, they will nevertheless be filled with joy and delicious traditional food, including mooncakes. Mr. Speaker, Asian Canadians have contributed richly to the development and continuing vibrancy of this country, and they are a strong and growing voice in our politics. Asian Canadians were at the forefront of those calling for a stronger response to the COVID-19 pandemic in the early days, and for a principled foreign policy which seeks the expansion of democracy and human rights. Many Asian Canadians have felt increasing pressure in 2020 as a result of racism and violence, and also because of increasing foreign state-backed intimidation. Conservatives will always stand with Canadians of Asian origin. We will never tolerate bigotry, hatred, or intimidation in our communities. So on behalf of Canada's Conservatives, I would like to wish all members of Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Vietnamese, Filipino, Malaysian, Taiwanese, and Singaporean communities across Canada a happy Mid-Autumn Festival.
The Honourable Member for Battleford, Lloydminster.
Mr. Speaker, today on National Seniors Day, we pay tribute to Canada's seniors. They have made profound contributions to our families, our workplaces, our communities, and our country. And every day they continue to make a positive difference in all of our lives. Younger generations have the privilege to build on the accomplishments and the lessons learned from the generations before them. In fact, we owe Canada's seniors a lot and cannot take them for granted. We know that this year has been particularly difficult for many of them, and never has it been more important for us to step up and better support our seniors. because when our seniors are honored and supported, our society as a whole is stronger. Mr. Speaker, I invite all my colleagues and all Canadians to join me in honoring the seniors in their lives. And to all of Canada's seniors, I wish you a happy National Seniors Day.
The Honourable Member for Hamilton Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today on National Seniors Day to honor and thank our older adults across our country for the many contributions they have made and continue to make to our families, our communities, and our country. However, if we truly want to honor our seniors, we need to also protect them, and the recent pandemic has shown all of us we have some serious work to do. Too many of our seniors are on long waiting lists for affordable housing. Too many of our seniors depend on food banks on a weekly basis, and too many of our seniors are still rationing their medication, and the list goes on, Mr. Speaker. Today I am asking the government to finally implement what our NDP caucus, the Canadian Federation of Retirees, numerous healthcare organizations and others have been calling for a national senior strategy. Mr. Speaker, a national senior strategy would boost seniors' financial security and improve their quality of life. Seniors deserve no less. This will show our seniors that they are important, valuable members of our society every day, not just on National Seniors Day. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Shefford. Mr. Speaker, since 1991, October 1st has been International Seniors Day. This is a special time to recognize the important contribution of seniors to our society and to our communities. On this very special day, I would like to remind everyone that the financial situation of seniors has been exacerbated by this crisis, and with the arrival of this second wave and with confinement once again, no magic slogans like everything will be okay will solve anything. Yet the solution is simple and not very costly. We have to increase the long-term purchasing power of seniors in a recurrent fashion. Let's lift seniors out of poverty by increasing old age security by $110 a month, and with a GIS supplement that is adapted to seniors from 65 years of age, not 75. So let us remember everything we owe to seniors and let us honor them. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise in this House to congratulate Canadian Cypriots and Cypriots around the world on the 60th anniversary of Cyprus' independence. For 29 years, our Canadian Armed Forces contribute to the UN peacekeeping force in Cyprus. Both of our countries are full members of the Commonwealth and La Francophonie, contributing to even closer cooperation and partnership between our nations.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to congratulate Canadian Cypriots and Cypriots around the world on the 60th anniversary of Cyprus's independence. As a Canadian soldier, I had the honour and privilege of participating in Canada's operations in Cyprus in 1972. 28 Canadian heroes, as you know, were killed during these operations in Cyprus, and we will forever be grateful for their sacrifice and their service. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Oakville North Burlington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The following is a typical opening to an aphasia program like the one I visited in Burlington led by Carly. Checking in. This afternoon I'm at 10 because on Saturday I took part in the Halton Peel Community Aphasia Program's virtual talk, stroll, and roll to raise money to support this amazing program. Today is Thursday, October the 1st. Today's theme is aphasia awareness. 95% of Canadians don't know what aphasia is and the challenges faced by those living with it. Aphasia is a language disorder that affects the ability to communicate. It is most often caused by strokes that occur in areas of the brain that control speech and language. Aphasia does not affect intelligence, but it makes speech jumbled, fragmented, or hard to understand, which can be frustrating. Words that my friends with aphasia have used to describe themselves: outspoken, friendly, trustworthy, and adventurous. I would describe them as resilient and courageous. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Before going on, avant de procéder, j'aimerais remercier.
I'd like to thank all members who kept their statements under 60 seconds. And I'd like to remind
members. The statements by members are 60 seconds long, so if you could keep it to that, it'll avoid cutting off the tail end of a very important message to your riding and to the rest of Canada. So thank you to all of you for cooperating. Question orale.
Oral questions.
Leader of the Opposition.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, Canada had one of the best public health care networks in the world that should have detected the oncoming pandemic. It was respected by all, but unfortunately, a few months before the pandemic, the health minister scrapped this early warning unit. An investigation was launched into Health Canada by the minister herself. Why has she set this test for herself after having failed it? The Honourable Minister. Parliamentary Secretary.
Speaker, and I thank the Honourable Member for your question. Mr. Speaker, public health intelligence is vital to identifying and monitoring outbreaks. From the start of COVID-19 outbreak, the Global Public Health Intelligence Network has been an important source of public health intelligence for PHAC. We were very concerned over reports that GPIN analysts were not able to proceed with their important work. Mr. Speaker, we will be conducting an independent review of these changes to make sure that this vital tool continues to inform decisions to protect Canadians well into the future.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, an independent review on their own mistake. The government turned off Canada's pandemic early warning system in 2019 without an explanation. Today he describes it as vital. This system was vital. It was 20% of the world's pandemic intelligence information. It helped stop H1N1 and Ebola. The Liberal chose to ignore the warnings of our security experts and instead began to rely on open source data from China. This government puts lives at risk when they shut down Canada's early warning pandemic system. Why?
Good question.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Again, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much to the Honourable Member for the question. Mr. Speaker, again, we see this as a vital tool. It's very important that this tool is able to contribute the intelligence to our country in the future. We will be conducting this independent review to make sure that this vital tool continues to inform decisions to protect Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, another vital tool is rapid testing. And this spring, the absence of it has consequences being felt across the country. Lab workers here in Ontario are feeling it. One told the Ottawa Citizen, everyone is working crazy amounts of hours to try and get all the tests we get in a day done, and it's just not possible. Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister admit his failure to approve rapid diagnostic testing is leading to the burnout in our frontline healthcare workers?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And again, I thank the Honourable Member for the question. Mr. Speaker, we know that Canadians need access to better and faster testing, no matter where they live. We have been working around the clock on the approval and procurement of new testing technologies. Mr. Speaker, we heard yesterday the Prime Minister in this House announced the approval of the Abbott ID Now point-of-care test and an order for 7.9 million units of this. We will continue working with industry, provinces and territories like we have, Mr. Speaker, since day one when COVID hit our shores.
Before we continue, I just want to remind the honourable members the way it works is we ask a question and there's an answer. We can't keep throwing questions at people to confuse things. I just want to make sure that everybody's got the rules down right. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, they're working around the clock and getting nothing done.
That's right.
In Calgary, the Foothills Hospital has 300 workers who have had to quarantine because of COVID exposure. No hospital can lose 300 frontline workers. If these workers had access to rapid tests, they'd already be back at work. But the Prime Minister says they have to wait weeks. If the next hospital is in BC or Manitoba, will the Liberal government once again blame the provinces for the Prime Minister's own failures?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Speaker, from day one, we have been great partners with the provinces and territories, getting them the investments that they need to come up with the ability to increase the capacity for rapid testing. Mr. Speaker, When I say that we've been working around the clock, we've been working around the clock. And I want to take a moment, Mr. Speaker, to thank the public health officials in Canada, the bureaucrats, the public servants that have truly been working around the clock for the betterment of Canadians. Mr. Speaker, Health Canada works closely with companies applying for authorization in Canada so that we can provide multiple testing options for all Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, the slowness of this government is quite simply unacceptable. Quebecers in the Ottawa area have to wait 7 days for their test results, despite the purchase of new machines. The Outaouais Medical Centre is still awaiting Health Canada's approval for the use of one of the most heavily used machines in the world, Mr. Speaker. Why is the government taking its sweet time when we're in a national crisis? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
On this side of the House, we believe in science and evidence. I get the impression, Mr. Speaker, that the member across the way, if he were in this position on this side of the House, would put the iron fist down to the Health Canada scientists, to the people that are working hard on evidence-based decisions, and make a political decision. Mr. Speaker, we can't have politics interfering on the outcomes that we are looking for here.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Mr. Speaker, we're in a full health crisis, and more than ever, people need high-quality health care. It's time to cooperate with Quebec to support our healthcare workers and protect our seniors. Quebec needs and is calling for an increase in health transfers in order to effectively combat COVID. Yesterday, what did they answer? The Liberals said, we're not a bank machine for Quebec. Make do with your equalization payments. That's what the Liberals are proposing. Nice cooperation, Mr. Speaker. Quebecers need better health care. They want increased transfers. What is Ottawa waiting for? The Honourable Minister. My colleague talks about cooperation, and in fact, we transferred $113 million for healthcare immediately. There's another $750 million for tests and for personal protection equipment, $167 million for vulnerable populations, almost $300 million for home care. That's beyond the figures. That's a sign of concrete cooperation with all Quebecers. Even if the Bloc doesn't like it, that's the reality. The Honourable Member for Montcalm. Mr. Speaker, 81% of Quebecers want the government to increase health transfers, and 73% of Canadians. The National Assembly of Quebec is unanimous. The premiers of all the provinces want increased transfers. They showed that there was an immediate shortfall of $28 billion. The federal government boasts about transferring $500 million. That's not even 2%, and we're in a pandemic. When will the government take this seriously and meet Quebec and the province's calls for increased transfers? The Honourable Minister. First of all, Mr. Speaker, the government of Quebec is quite capable, is doing a good job. It can speak for itself, and we're discussing things with them. They don't need the Bloc here in the House as a middleman. They can speak to us directly. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, we've transferred $11.6 billion to Quebec for health care. So we know there's a squabble here, but there is no squabble. They're looking for one where there isn't. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 3 years ago, the Liberal government announced the Infrastructure Bank. And after 3 years, basically they haven't delivered the goods. Nothing's been built to show that it actually works. What they have done is help their cronies. They've given big salaries to their cronies, but they haven't invested in building any new infrastructure. So my question, when is the Liberal government truly going to invest in infrastructure instead of just making beautiful announcements? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I am always happy to... Mr. Speaker, I'm always pleased to speak about our infrastructure program, which creates great projects all around the country, thousands of projects that create good jobs and are building a healthier future. Today we announced with Michael Sabia, who's very well known all across Canada, including in Quebec, that we are going ahead with a $10 billion project to do retrofits for electric buses and for a transition to a cleaner economy. That will create 60,000 jobs, and people in Montreal know how well the infrastructure program is working.
Mr. Speaker, I have no doubt that the Liberals are going to make great announcements. They made another great announcement, but they've only actually funded 9 projects in 3 years, and none of those projects are actually completed. It's a great announcement tool, but they actually haven't built infrastructure. For 3 years, what have they done? Well, they certainly have enriched their close friends. They got great salaries, but they're just making announcement after announcement, but they're not actually building things in communities. They're not building infrastructure. So my question is, when will the Liberal government admit that this infrastructure bank was just an announcement ploy and start investing directly in projects that people need?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm always to talk about the infrastructure investments that we're making across the country, including the members' very riding. We've invested in thousands of projects that are creating jobs across the country and building cleaner and more inclusive communities. We know the REM project in Montreal that's funded by the Canada Infrastructure Bank has created thousands of jobs and is advancing quickly. Today's announcement is a demonstration that under the leadership of Michael Sabia, we are going to get even more built. That $10 billion investment that will crowd in the private sector will mean retrofits in buildings across the country. It will mean more electric buses and better public transportation, irrigation.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The first responsibility of a federal state is the borders, and everyone recognizes that the government dragged its heels in that area when the pandemic hit. The Prime Minister said he was following WHO advice, and here today in the New York Times, we learn that the WHO was basing its decisions on policy and politics rather than scientific evidence. So why did the government wait so long before closing the border when that's what common sense called for? The Honourable Minister.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And quite frankly, I would disagree with the characterization that there was any delay. Our government acted with, I think, remarkable speed in closing our borders and to placing appropriate restrictions on international travel. It was unprecedented and frankly, prior to the pandemic, almost incomprehensible. But we acted quickly to put in place strong restrictions on non-essential travel and to take the action necessary to keep Canadians safe. And that has been effective, Mr. Speaker. And at the same time, we were able to maintain important supply lines so that goods and services and essential workers could continue to do their job of serving Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Calgary-Midnapore.
Mr. Speaker, we asked the Minister of Health in March why her government had not shut down international travel or established testing requirements at our airports. She stated their decision to allow flights to continue and not require screening was based on the best scientific evidence from Canada with the World Health Organization recommendations. The New York Times has now revealed that the WHO's advice was never based on science. Will the minister now explain why she risked the health of Canadians and continued to defend policies based on politics rather than science?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you very much, and I thank the Honourable Member for the question. Mr. Speaker, we have used science and evidence from day one. I will disagree with the member's comments, the member's question. Science has evolved in this process. We've learned through this process, and when we think, Mr. Speaker, when we think about this resurgence, we know so much more now than we knew before. We have so much more knowledge about COVID-19 than we had back in January. And the response, the Canadian response, Mr. Speaker, has been driven from day one by evidence and science, and it will continue.
The Honourable Member for Abbotsford.
Well, Mr. Speaker, for months the COVID pandemic has ravaged our economy. 9,000 Canadians have lost their lives. Many more are hospitalized. And we now know that last year the health minister shut down Canada's pandemic early warning system. Can you imagine? When former Liberal health minister Ujjal Dosanjh, remember him? When he heard this, he called the minister's actions a colossal failure. To the minister, why did she shut down the system? And doesn't she realize that that early warning system could have saved many, many lives?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my friend from Abbotsford for the question. A question that's been asked earlier today, but Mr. Speaker, the same answer is the same answer. Public health intelligence is vital to identifying and monitoring outbreaks. We were concerned about reports that GFIN analysts were not able to proceed with their important work. From the start of COVID-19, Mr. Speaker, the Global Public Health Intelligence Network has been an important source of public health intelligence. That tool is a vital tool and needs to remain in the future. It needs to remain in the future as a tool of intelligence for Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Abbotsford.
Well, Mr. Speaker, today we read that the health minister ignored critical pandemic information and relied on intelligence from foreign governments. She prioritized information from China, of all places, rather than using public sources that would have told her how dangerous the virus really was. For months, the minister said the risk was low. Remember that? Now we find out that she shut down one of the most important tools to protect Canadians against this virus. Does the minister realize this is another wee charity in the making? Why should Canadians continue to trust her?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Again, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my friend from Abbotsford for the question. We were very concerned by reports that GFIN analysts were not able to proceed with their important work. And as I've said before, we will be conducting an independent review of these changes to make sure, again, that this vital tool continues to inform decisions to protect Canadians into the future. Public health intelligence is vital to identifying and monitoring an outbreak.
Député de Sherbrooke-Haute-Saint.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, shortly after leaving politics, Frank Baylis got a $237 million contract to produce medical equipment. This is a former Liberal MP. And since then, there have been contracts with many companies that are unknown. And the Liberal government is using confidentiality to avoid revealing which companies got these contracts. We'd like to know, are these contracts that have been made with cronies?
Ministre.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Speaker. Let me start by saying that we made all of our contracts public on our website at the end of July in the interest of full transparency for Canadians. With regards to the contract mentioned, that contract was actually with a company called FTI for $237 million for 10,000 ventilators. There's no contract with Frank Baylis. This contract that is referenced is with FTI, and so the question is actually irrelevant, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk, Interlake, Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, this is another wee scandal in the making. So let's review. First, the Prime Minister destroyed our stockpiles of PPE on the eve of a global pandemic. Then he sent what little we had left to the Chinese communist regime. And now we learn he is slapping national security designations on government contracts for PPE. National security designations are meant for national defense, not cloaking public health contracts in secrecy. This is just another attempt by this government to avoid accountability. Mr. Speaker, what are the Liberals trying to hide this time?
Honourable Minister.
Once again, Mr. Speaker, I need to highlight what I just said, which is that in the interest of full transparency, we revealed on our website at the end of July all of our contracts and suppliers. And I would like to take issue, therefore, with the insinuation that we are not acting in the interest of transparency. And I will say that we have now over 2 billion items of PPE in this country for Canadians, for frontline healthcare workers, and we will continue to act with vigor and diligence on their behalf. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Joliette. Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. At midnight, most of Quebec went into red alert level. Restaurants and cultural industries have been completely shuttered for at least 28 days. In the throne speech, the government committed, quote, to target additional financial support directly to businesses which have temporarily shut down as a result of a local public health decision, unquote. This afternoon, the government of Quebec announced that it would be helping businesses. What's the federal government going to do for them in the very short run? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'd like to thank my colleague for his important question. We are, of course, all in solidarity with those affected by the new restrictions imposed by the Quebec government. We've been there since the beginning with our entrepreneurs to ensure that they got through the first wave, and we will still be there in the second wave with various supports, whether it's the wage subsidy or other measures that we will be shortly announcing. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Joliette. Mr. Speaker, businesses are closed now in the red zone, and it's time to act now, not in a few months. Federal assistance, as I said, can't wait. Businesses need it now. For 6 months, the Bloc has been calling for support for overhead costs, and they still don't have that. The financial assistance for schools returning came after the kids had already gone back, and COVID beat the assistance to the punch. No kidding. Time's running out for many businesses. The time to act is now. What's Ottawa going to do? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I had the opportunity to speak a number of times with the Quebec Minister of the Economy. And good news for entrepreneur. Assistance is coming. And similar to a lot of the steps we've taken, whether it's the wage subsidy or loans to small businesses, there's also the Economic Development Agency for Quebec regions, which got increased funding. And of course, we are very aware of what's going on currently with entrepreneurs all across the regions. We're watching it closely, and we will be there to help them. The Honourable Member for Abitibi-Temiskaming. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, small businesses like restaurants, bars, and theaters were the first to close down during the first wave. Today, they have to close down again because they're in red alert. And they can't afford to go into debt again. The Bloc has been saying for 6 months there has to be support for fixed costs to avoid bankruptcies. The survival of thousands of businesses depends on that. The government even agreed with us and voted in favor of our motion on April 11th. When is the government going to keep its word and announce genuine help for businesses with their fixed costs? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It goes without saying that we'll be there for our businesses. We've been there since the outset, and we will stay there. And that is why so many businesses have been able to keep their employees on the payroll, thanks to the wage subsidy. In the throne speech, we said we would be there still to help businesses and entrepreneurs in those regions that are affected. And that is our goal, to help those businesses and those workers. And so, yes, of course, we will take action and remain in solidarity.
Shut down the system that was supposed to warn us about pandemics. He cost people their lives and their jobs. The Prime Minister kept our borders open, knowing that the virus was entering our cities. He cost people their lives and their jobs. And in Ontario alone today, 82,000 people are waiting for test results because there are no rapid tests in our schools, in our place of work, in long-term care facilities, because the Prime Minister failed to get them. He is costing workers their jobs and people their lives. Why?
Good question.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, an honourable member, for the question. Mr. Speaker, we were first alerted to an outbreak of pneumonia in late December 2019. Since then, we have been working together with all levels of government to respond to cases of COVID-19 in Canada. We have used science and evidence to inform our decision-making based on the data available. We know that this situation changes every day. We are working with experts, public health officials, and our partners, working together to keep Canadians safe.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
I stand with Kim McInnes in Dartmouth, who had to take 5 days off of work to wait for her toddler's COVID results. The best that this guy can do is stammer through his minister's talking points that lose something in translation from Beijing. He sat by and did nothing while the Liberals sent precious masks to other countries while our doctors went without. Disgusting. Why is the Prime Minister costing Canadians their lives and their jobs?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the honourable member for the question. Mr. Speaker, from day one, this government has been a partner with provinces and territories. We've invested heavily in ensuring that provinces, like my province of Nova Scotia, have the money to ramp up the capacity that they need. Mr. Speaker, my daughter had a test in Nova Scotia, and she had her test results back in 8 hours. Mr. Speaker, we have done great things with the provinces and territories, and we have an unprecedented level of cooperation and collaboration with these provinces and territories. And, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank those folks in the provinces and territories for working with the government, but we've made federal investments, Mr. Speaker, to help with that capacity.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
That's great. Liberals get their test results in hours, but Kim McInnes has to wait for 5 days for her kids. That's how this works with this government. A contract for Frank Baylis and special test results for the parliamentary secretary. You know what? This government needs to start standing with regular Canadians. They're the ones that are making the sacrifice. Right. The only sacrifice the Prime Minister has made is Bill Morneau. He is costing Canadians their lives and their jobs. When is he going to get his act together, and when are Canadians going to see a plan?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, we've used science and we've used evidence to drive the Canadian response to this. What you will see on the other side of this House, Mr. Speaker, is you will see people that would, if they were in these positions on this side of the bench, they would make those decisions for scientists. They would make those decisions. They'd say, I'm sorry, if you're not at the stage yet where you can approve this, Mr. Speaker, across the way, they would rubber stamp that just because it makes good political sense.
Honourable member for Cowichan, Malahat, Langford.
Mr. Speaker, as a Vancouver Islander, I can attest to how important BC ferries are as a vital link to the mainland. And strict COVID-19 measures have kept people safer, including an exemption that let passengers stay in their vehicles. But despite an expected second wave and the objections of the Premier, the Provincial Medical Health Officer, passengers, and some ferry workers, the Liberals have rescinded that exemption and are insisting on cramming people onto the passenger decks, insisting that it is safe. Why is the Liberal government exposing passengers on BC ferries to risk? Do they really think Ottawa knows best?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, on the issue of ferries and closed car decks, it is a difficult decision, but it is one that has to be made for reasons of marine safety. Closed decks on ferries are not safe places for passengers to be in case there were a fire or flooding or some other catastrophe. At this point in time, we have measures in place to ensure COVID safety on our ferries, and we hope that all people will understand that this is the proper way to go.
Member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Canadians were horrified to see the appalling conditions our seniors are experiencing in long-term care centres across this country. 80% of the deaths from COVID-19 occurred in these facilities, giving Canada the worst record of all comparable nations. The situation is so bad, the armed forces had to be called in. As Canadians brace themselves for a second wave of this pandemic, families are extremely worried about their loved ones in long-term care. What is this government doing specifically to ensure that seniors will be better protected in the critical months ahead?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We will be there to support provinces and territories that need help managing their long-term care systems, whether it's with the Canadian Armed Forces support, investment in PPE, or providing the $3 billion for essential workers' wages. Know that the safety of seniors is our top priority. Under the Safe Restart Agreement, our government has provided $740 million to support one-time costs for measures to control and prevent infections. Our throne speech identified additional actions we'll take to strengthen long-term care in our country. We'll be there for our seniors. Thank you.
The honourable member for Northwest Territories.
Mr. Speaker, I know our government has been outspoken in the past about opposing the United States administration's plan to open the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge in Alaska to oil drilling, and that they could auction off drilling leases this calendar year. The ANWR is a critically important calving ground for the porcupine caribou herd, and with the ongoing decline in many herds, we need to collectively protect them and assist in their recovery. What has Canada done, and what more can we do to address this incoming threat?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank the member of the Northwest Territories for his question and for both his and the member of Yukon's important work on this issue. As I said in the statement that I released in early September, the porcupine caribou herd is invaluable to the culture and subsistence of the Gwich'in and Inuvialuit peoples and to biodiversity in this country. This government has long advocated for the permanent protection of the herd's habitat, including in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. We have made strides to protect this herd through the establishment of important habitat areas, including 2 national parks, Ivevik and Vuntut. We have and we will continue to work together with our Indigenous and territorial partners to protect this iconic species.
The Honourable Member for Richmond, Arthabaska. Mr. Speaker, last week I asked the Minister when she would modernize the Official Languages Act. For weeks, the Official Languages Commissioner, FCAFA, and all the organizations representing Francophones in Canada have asked for the same thing. I have no doubt that the Minister will once again attack the Conservatives in her response, but for her to ignore all those speaking out is a total lack of respect. Mr. Speaker, let me give her another chance. When will we finally have a modernization plan for the Official Languages Act? The Honourable Minister. It goes without saying that the modernization of the Official Languages Act is important. Why? Because we will always strengthen the linguistic rights in Canada, be it linguistic minorities, but also be it in Quebec or in the rest of Canada, the other official language. I had the same conversation with stakeholders from linguistics rights groups. They are very happy that we have recognized in the throne speech the importance of the official languages. We will continue to work with them because we are on their side. Thank you. The member for Richmond, Arthabaska. The Official Languages Act was rewritten by the Mulroney government. There were historic investments by $2.2 billion made by the Conservative government. The former Official Languages Commissioner said that it was good progress under Conservative governments, but the Liberals have done nothing concretely, as demonstrates the latest report by the Official Languages Commissioner tabled this week. We are sick of promises. We want to know when the minister will table the modernizing of the Official Languages Act plan. The Honourable Minister. I won't give my colleague a history lesson, but the Official Languages Act was adopted some 51 years ago after the Laurent Dodunton Commission by the Trudeau government. And now what's happened in recent years is that every time there have been cuts, it was under Conservative, provincial or federal Conservative governments. I have a question to ask the Leader of the Opposition. Will the Leader of the Official Opposition denounce the cuts made against Franco-Albertans when there have been cuts on the St. John campus in Alberta? Will he condemn those cuts?
Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister was quick to put all of the resources of government at the disposal of his failed and ethically challenged white male former finance minister in his bid to become OECD Secretary General. But when a Muslim female senator with multi-party support and an unimpeachable record put her name forward for the presidency of the Interparliamentary Union, the government is working against her behind the scenes. So what happened to Team Canada? Why are the Liberals failing to support a strong Canadian voice on the world stage?
The Honourable Minister.
I would love to do it.
Since from the Conservatives when it comes to gender or diversity, Mr. Speaker, we recognize everyone in this House that Senator Salma Atuljan is doing important work on human rights issue.
I understand that there is a deadline for candidates by October 18. I will be happy to meet with all candidates that are coming. And Mr. Speaker, I spoke with the senator today, and she was very happy about our intervention.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, on diversity, this government is all talk and no action. They fired a public servant who criticized the government's approach to blackface. We saw with the former Attorney General that the Prime Minister only wants women in leadership roles if they sing from the song sheet that he provides. Senator Atula-John's bid has the support of multiple Liberal MPs. The Prime Minister is putting politics ahead of our national interest. Why is the government working behind the scenes to block a strong Muslim woman from representing Canada on the world stage just because she happens to be a conservative?
Honourable Minister.
Not only to talk, Mr. Speaker, if he was to listen, I said that I spoke with the senator today, Mr. Speaker. We had a good conversation. I invited her to come to see me, and I said that I would meet all participants who want to put their name forward. That's democracy, Mr. Speaker. That's the way we operate on this side of the House.
L'honorable.
The honourable member for Shefford. Mr. Speaker, the majority of Quebecers are back in the red zone as of today. Seniors won't be able to have visitors for the next 28 days. They'll be more isolated than ever. In addition to the anxiety caused by COVID-19, our seniors are continuing to experience economic anxiety, and Ottawa is not lifting a finger to help them. Instead of having nice speech on Seniors' Day, can the government turn words into action and increase the old age security pension by $110 a month for those of 65 years and up? This is under the minister's responsibility. The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, the federal government has been there from the beginning for all Quebecers, in particular for our seniors, those who spend the most difficult times of their life in the long-term care homes. We have intervened in a number of ways to help all of Quebec society. I said, be it our seniors, be it our families, be it our workers. We are there for Quebec. We will continue to be there for Quebec. The honourable member for Shefford. Mr. Speaker, good news for those between 65 and 75 years of age. They can't get COVID, according to the federal government. Even in lockdown, they are protected from feeling lonely and isolated. The cost of the groceries these days doesn't even go up, apparently, when you're between 65 and 75 years of age. Seriously, Mr. Speaker, can the government tell us why seniors between the ages of 65 and 75 do not deserve the same increase in their pension as everyone else? What is this kind of nonsense that's creating two classes of seniors? Poverty doesn't wait until you're 75. The Honourable Minister.
The government remains committed to implementing the policies as reaffirmed in our throne speech. At this time, we are focused on managing the COVID-19 public health crisis. This year, we've invested over twice as much financial assistance for seniors as we committed to on our platform. We provided financial support to seniors 65 and above sooner and with greater support for the most vulnerable. Seniors can be assured that our government has been there to support them during the pandemic and will continue to be there for them. Thank you.
Member for Edmonton Centre.
Mr. Speaker, the industry minister said in 2016 we must address the needs of Canadians who could have access to the internet. 2017, they need these services. 2018, high-speed internet is no longer a luxury. 2019, access to high-speed internet is essential. Now it's 2020 and the Liberals are rehashing the same tired promises again. It's been 5 years. Canadians are frustrated, still waiting on this promise. When will we finally see some improvement on this issue?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's been 5 years, and since we formed government, over 1 million households are on their way to getting connected to high-speed internet. Today, the Minister for Infrastructure and Communities, along with the Prime Minister, announced an additional tool to connect 750,000 households and businesses in underserved communities to high-speed internet. That's in addition to the investments already made and in addition to the Universal Broadband Fund.
The honourable member for Edmonton Centre.
And it's still not working. Mr. Speaker, the rural broadband expansion has been an unmitigated disaster. We've heard plenty of big plans from the Liberals over the last 5 years, but very little delivery and many unsatisfied internet users. However, a new entrant, SpaceX, may be able to offer a solution for rural Canadians and their businesses have been desperately needing. They aren't asking for a cent. They just want their license approved. When will the minister get busy and give it the green light?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate my colleague's passion on this file, and if he'd like a briefing on how we've been moving forward and how we can work together, I am happy to offer it to him. Mr. Speaker, the needs across the country are diverse. We are attuned to those, and we are looking for diverse partners to make that happen. Today's announcement with the partnership with the Infrastructure Bank is one way that we're moving forward. If my colleague has solutions that he'd like to bring to the table, I know we are all busy, but I will happily make time for him.
Honourable member for Fundy Royal.
Well, Mr. Speaker, announcing the same money over and over again just isn't getting the job done. Here in New Brunswick, there remains tens of thousands of households and small businesses without access to reliable, high-speed internet connection. In 2019, the Liberals said they would accelerate the expansion of rural internet. They promised the same thing in May. They have made the same promise again in this new throne speech. Mr. Speaker, when will the minister give a clear timeline? When will upgraded connections roll out in rural New Brunswick?
Honourable Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I hope that our Conservative colleagues will first and foremost support the speech from the throne where the commitments to accelerated and more ambitious supports for communities like those in New Brunswick were made. Second, Mr. Speaker, I want my colleague to know that we are working very hard to ensure that every household is connected to this essential service. And third, Mr. Speaker, I truly hope that colleagues who are interested are working to get their communities connected to our department so that we can help support strong applications moving forward.
Honourable member for Cumberland Colchester.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to recognize that today is National Seniors Day. And here in Cumberland Colchester, we have many incredible seniors who have helped build Nova Scotia through good times and bad times. And in fact, they have built the Canada that we love today. However, many seniors across Canada are facing isolation and uncertainty, especially with fears of the second wave of COVID-19. I was pleased to hear in the throne speech that a renewed commitment from government to protect and support seniors. But can the Minister of Seniors please tell us exactly what she has been doing and will be doing to help support Canadian seniors? Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for Cumberland Colchester for the question and the opportunity to send my best wishes to our elders on National Seniors Day. Today, I invite everyone to show their love and appreciation for the seniors in their lives. During the pandemic, our government has provided financial, social, and health supports to seniors, and we have ambitious agenda to increase old age security and improve the quality of long-term care and accelerate universal pharmacare and help seniors remain in their homes as they age. We'll continue to be there for Canada's seniors every step of the way.
Member for Kildonan St. Paul.
Mr. Speaker, under this Liberal government, Health Canada is permitting dozens of large-scale medical cannabis grow-ups with hundreds of plants to operate in the suburbs of my riding. One family suffered a break-in after their home was mistaken for the grow-up next door. Health Canada is refusing to share critical information that law enforcement needs in order to shut down any illicit grow-ops. Medical cannabis can be grown safely, but there is a loophole that is impacting the safety and the quality of life of my constituents. Will the Health Minister be putting their needs first and close the loophole immediately?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Honourable Member for the question. Mr. Speaker, we worked very, very hard to ensure that we would get the bulk of the illegal cannabis industry off the streets, Mr. Speaker. Having a product on the street that you just don't know what's in it. That legislation to legalize cannabis in Canada has been successful, and we've taken away a big portion of the business on the street. Mr. Speaker, I would be pleased to open a dialogue with that member to have a conversation at any time at her convenience on this particular issue. Thank you.
The honourable member for West Nova.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's been over 2 weeks that I've been asking questions on the Nova Scotia fisheries crisis without getting great answers. The Prime Minister makes reconciliation with our First Nations a priority about speaking of understanding, friendship, and redressing past aggressions. Mr. Speaker, honest discussions must take place with both sides so that they can work together for a better future. In his desire for reconciliation, why is the government knowingly pitting Indigenous and non-Indigenous against each other in St. Mary's Bay and destroying any friendship that has been maintained for over 300 years?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my colleague for the question. Mr. Speaker, since day one, the priority has been de-escalating the tensions that we've seen on the water in southwestern Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, I'm thankful to say that that actually is happening now. Now we work with the First Nations community as well as with industry as we go forward. We believe that the best way to do this is through respectful dialogue. We are currently in discussions with First Nations communities. They are actually saying that these discussions are positive. And actually, Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that today is an extremely special day in Nova Scotia to say Happy Treaty Day. We're going to continue to do this to make sure that we implement these First Nations rights. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Red Deer Lacombe.
Mr. Speaker, Canada has the highest unemployment in the G7, and our finances are teetering on the brink. TC Energy's natural gas pipeline expansion could have generated 5,500 good-paying jobs and $4 billion in investment with all the tax revenue to go with it. Mr. Speaker, the Canadian Energy Regulator recommended this project for approval back in February, but the Liberals still haven't acted. Does the lifeline that the NDP threw the government include a knife in the back to the West again? Or are the Liberals just this spiteful, all on their own?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, in the face of COVID-19 and the request of several Indigenous communities, our government extended the deadline for a decision on the NGTL project in order to safely and meaningfully consult and address outstanding concerns as appropriate. As this House knows very well, good projects only get done when we take the time and do the hard work to meet our constitutional duty to meaningfully consult with potentially impacted First Nations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Mississauga, Aaron Mills.
Mr. Speaker, in February, our government tabled Bill C-7 to comply with the Quebec Superior Court ruling, which ordered changes to Canada's medical assistance in dying law. However, due to the pandemic, our government was granted an extension until December 2020 to comply with this order. Can the Minister of Justice please update the House on our government's plan to comply with the Truchon decision and to respect the court-imposed deadline?
The Honourable Minister. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
There we go. I thank the honourable member from Mississauga, Aaron Mills, for the important question. In the coming days, our government will reintroduce what was formerly Bill C-7 on medical assistance in dying. Mr. Speaker, we consulted extensively on this legislation and believe that it ensures personal autonomy and choice while protecting the most vulnerable. It affirms the inherent and equal value of every life. As we move forward, we will work to ensure the parliamentary process is inclusive and accessible. And I want to ensure my honourable colleague and all Canadians, Mr. Speaker, that even in a pandemic, all voices will be heard on this deeply personal and important issue.
The honourable member for Vancouver East.
My constituent Brian tried to apply online for CERB retroactive payments on September 29th after learning that the rules for CERB had changed. To his shock, he was told that he could only apply for the last period of the CERB payment. When we looked into this, the CRA agent told my office that on September 28th, they received direction to limit the retroactive application. There was no public warning whatsoever of this change and is contrary to what the government's own website states. This is utterly unfair and unacceptable. Will the minister honor the original deadline for retroactive payments?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Member for the question and, of course, assure her
that if there's any particular cases, we will certainly look into it. But when Canadians needed support the most, the Canada Emergency Response Benefit was there to help support nearly 9 million people pay their bills and be there for their families. While we see an economic restart in some jurisdictions and sectors, we know that there is still a long way to go. So that is why our government is implementing the next phase of our economic recovery plan, new flexibilities in the employment insurance program that will allow more Canadians to qualify and receive a minimum of $500 per week for at least 26 weeks, and new income support benefits that will provide similar support to non-EI Canadians.
The honourable member for Kitchener South Hespeler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was pleased to hear that the government's announcement of the purchase of 7.9 million rapid point-of-care COVID-19 tests, which have been approved by Health Canada. As we head into the fall months, could the minister please update this House and Canadians about three things? First, the accuracy of the test. Second, to whom the tests are being distributed across Canada. And third, who is making the distribution decision?
Honourable Minister, the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my honourable member for the question. Mr. Speaker, Canadians need access to better and faster testing. That is something that we are all very clear on, and that is something that we are delivering on. We're working around the clock to make evidence-based decisions so that we can approve and procure new testing technologies. After a thorough review by Health Canada, the Abbott ID Now rapid test, as announced yesterday, was approved for use in Canada. Mr. Speaker, decisions on distribution are not and must not be political. PHAC is working closely with its provincial and territorial partners to ensure that these tests go where they are needed most. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's all the time we have for questions. We have a point of order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Page 623 of Bosque and Gagnon states, quote, "The proceedings of the House are based on a long-standing tradition of respect for the integrity of all members. Thus, the use of offensive, provocative, or threatening language in the House is strictly forbidden." End quote. Today, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Public Services and Procurement called the question from my colleague from Charlesburg, Haute-Saint Charles, irrelevant. She may have also inadvertently, Mr. Speaker, misled the House. In fact, I have great respect for the Minister. She is a learned law professor. And she suggested his question was irrelevant because the contract for ventilators was with the company FTI Professional. Let me pierce the corporate veil, Mr. Speaker. In a press release from this year from Baylis Medical,